Bridget,
Yes.
I think Mr. Hoffman's going to join us today too.
I see him.
He's there.
Yes, I see him.
Okay, that's it.
Hey, Burl, you be careful driving out there.
Oh, I am. I got my iPad hooked to my steering wheel where I can watch it. You know, got it duct taped right in the middle. It's like having a TV screen in front of me.
All right. And a little baling wire to secure it?
Right, and it's that way it's still hands-free, see?
Yeah.
Okay, I see 2 o'clock on the clock. I'd like to call to order. I would now like to call the Riverside Transit Agency regular meeting of the Board of Directors to order at 2 p.m. Thank you for joining the regular meeting of the Board of Directors on Thursday, December 17, 2020. Before we begin with today's business, please ensure that you are in a quiet environment with no background noise. Please mute your phone until called upon by the chair or the clerk to speak. To ensure we have an organized opportunity for everyone to speak, I will call upon each group separately. When your group number is called, please announce your name and then proceed with your comments or questions. I will ask the public to speak after the board. Once called upon to speak, please unmute your device and then speak. Please remember to place your phone back on mute after speaking. Joan, please read this special notice.
On March 4, 2020, Governor Newsom proclaimed a state of emergency in California as a result of the threat of COVID-19. Public gatherings are to be limited. Further, on March 18, 2020, Governor Newsom temporarily suspended the Brown Act requirements pertaining to telephonic conferencing of local government meetings and the requirement to have at least one physical location available to the public for purposes of attending the meeting. As such, RTA has opted to conduct the December 17, 2020 meeting via teleconference.
Roll call. Will the clerk please take roll call?
Oh, this is the transit meeting?
Yeah, for Riverside County.
Hello,
I have a
yes.
part in it. I am.
Hello, we need everyone to please be on mute. Please mute your devices. And we will proceed with roll call. Joan?
Thank you. City of Banning?
Here.
City of Beaumont?
Here, Ray Santos.
Oh, welcome. City of Calamasa?
Here.
City of Canyon Lake?
Merry Christmas.
City of Corona?
Here.
City of Eastvale?
Here.
City of Hemet?
Here.
City of Harupa Valley?
Happy holidays. Here.
City of Lake Elsinore?
Here.
City of Menifee?
I'm here as alternate Lisa Sobek, but I know that Councilmember August is also in attendance at this point of the meeting.
Yes. City of Moreno Valley?
Here.
City of Murrieta?
Here.
City of Norco?
Zooming right along on eastbound 10.
And Ted Hoffman is also here.
City of Paris? City of Paris?
Yes, the city of Paris is here. Thank you.
City of Riverside?
Here.
City of San Jacinto? Director Alonso. There he is.
I see him.
City of Temecula?
I'm here. Thank you.
City of Wildemar?
Here.
County of Riverside District 1?
Here.
County of Riverside District 2? I see.
Here. Here and here.
County of Riverside District 3?
Here.
County of Riverside District 5.
Here.
Chair, you have a quorum. Participants, please remember to remute your devices.
Thank you, Joan. Next is a pledge of allegiance. Please stand and place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next is item 4, public comments for non-agenda items. Joan, please read the directions for public comments.
Members of the public may address the board regarding any item within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. However, no action may be taken on off-agenda items unless authorized by law. Comments shall be limited to matters not listed on the agenda. Members of the public may comment on any matter listed on the agenda at the time that the board considers that matter. Each person's presentation is limited to a maximum of 3 minutes.
Joan, have you received any requests to speak in writing?
Yes, Chair Moore. I received requests to speak from Keith White and Eric Eustachian. Keith White would like his public comment read for him.
Will the clerk please read Mr. White's comment?
Dear RTA board members, this year has been a very trying year and we had to make cuts, which I didn't like. I have faith that we will come back stronger than ever. I sure miss seeing everyone in person. Since COVID, I have been more active in RTA meetings, and I do miss our in-person customer advocate meetings. We had good discussions and some ideas that were good that came out of it. I will miss seeing Director Brandon Plott, Director Anthony Kelly, and Director Berwin Hanna from our RTA Northwest T-Now chapter. We have some great memories and also won a couple of times for our annual centerpiece. I will miss you greatly, and I just want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Please wear your mask. Sincerely yours, Keith White.
Thank you, Mr. White. And we wish you happy holidays also. Do we have Eric Eustachian on the line? If so, Eric, please go ahead with your comment.
Is he on the line?
We have Eric Eustachian.
Chair Moore, I don't believe he is actually on the line.
Okay. Is there anyone else on the line that would like to make comments on items that are not on the agenda?
This is Glenn Leader. I do have an agenda item, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to remain until the agenda item is read.
Okay.
If so, I would like the whoever received my letter to go ahead and read it for me, if that's the case.
Yes, that is fine. Joan, do you have his letter?
I do have it. I will grab it and we'll read it when we get to item 11.
Yes, we will.
Okay, thank you. If I'm still here, then I'll listen in and comment.
Okay.
Thank
Got
you.
it. Thank you. Is there anyone else on the line that'd like to make comments on items that are not on the agenda? Hearing none, the public comment portion for items not listed on the agenda is now closed. Next is item 5, presentations, and we do have several board members who will be leaving us this year. And I would like to take a moment to recognize each of them. And we will start with our first Vice Chair, Berwin Hanna, who is actually driving right now. Berwin Hanna, it has been 10 great years, and we're thrilled you've joined us for the ride. A lot has changed since you came on board a decade ago, but one thing has remained the same: your passion, your kindness, your leadership, your honest desire to serve the community and make things just a little bit better. A decade of service, that's a long time, especially long when it comes to all the great work you've done for RTA. From the landmark purchase of new eco-friendly buses to renewed partnerships that gave a tidal wave of college students unlimited rides, you helped propel our success on so many fronts. You supported free rides for area youth, expanded service to growing communities, and helped lay the groundwork for long-awaited mobility hubs in Hemet, Riverside, and Temecula. You didn't just make an impression on RTA. You also supported our cause in your community with Transportation Now. You showed just how important community involvement can be. Thanks for bringing together lawmakers, business owners, city officials, and everyday people to support public transit. Along with your keen understanding of business, you always found a way to inject humor into our conversations. We're going to miss your cowboy hats, your mad driving skills at the animal rodeo, your affection for horses, and chili cook-offs. On behalf of RTA, it is my pleasure to present you with a gift in appreciation for your service. And all these gifts will be mailed to you, to all the members today. So thank you, Berwin. We will miss you. Yeah, you can clap. Next up is Director Art Welch. Mr. Welch, you have been, I'm sorry, Berwin, did you want to say a few words? I should have asked that. You're on mute. You're on mute.
Okay, there we go.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you guys. It's been fun. A lot of these decisions was a little bit challenging, but thanks to Larry and the very capable staff that he has there, the RTA has, we got through a lot of things, and I know you'll get through this COVID deal, but I appreciate all the friendships I've made, all the acquaintances, and I'll stay in touch with you guys. I'm sure I'll see some of you around and everything, but thanks again for everything. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Baron.
Thank you, Berwin. Okay, next up, Director Art Welch. Mr. Welch, you've been such an important part of our board since you arrived back in 2013. A representative of the city of Banning, you have been an outspoken member of the group and earned the respect of your fellow board members for your leadership, professionalism, and vision. In addition to your responsibilities on the board, you have been a crucial member of the Administration and Operations Committee, as well as Transportation Now since day one. You remain a member of the San Gregorio Pass Area Chapter of Transportation Now, which has been doing a great job promoting public transportation in that part of the region. Let's not forget that public transportation has always been something special to you, even before joining the RTA board. When you were then Assemblyman Cook's office, you led efforts to pass legislation that eventually cleared the path for the Go Pass program. As you know, that program has been a lifesaver for so many community college students in our region who need a lift to class. You were also a great chairman. During 2018, you assumed leadership of the board during a period of significant growth, and you guided us through the launch of new routes, a burst in youth ridership, and unprecedented technology aboard our buses. You were also so supportive of RTA at community events and a big competitor in the RTA rodeos. I remember that. We will miss you on the course. On behalf of RTA, it is my pleasure to present you with a gift in appreciation of your service. And again, this will be mailed to you. Thank you.
Woo, woo.
Whoa, whoa.
Can I say a few words, Art?
What?
Just a couple of things. First of all, it's been my privilege and my pleasure to serve with such a very great group of people. All of the commissioners step to the plate when RTA needs them, and it's an excellent organization. And I can't say enough about the RTA staff. Larry Rubio and his group are one of the most outstanding management staffs I've ever had the pleasure and the privilege of working with in my whole working career. I certainly will miss this group, but I'm not going away. I have been asked to, when necessary, represent District 5. So you're not rid of me, and so you can quit smiling.
We don't want to be rid of you.
But I wish all of you a very, very Merry Christmas, a Happy New Year's, and we'll work through this COVID situation. I'm very proud of the steps that the RTA, with recommendation from staff, has taken to address this horrible thing that's happened to our communities. So it'll go away. 2020 will be two numbers we can forget in a very short time in the future. Thank all of you for your efforts, though. It's made this organization one of the very best in the county of Riverside. Thank you.
Thank you, Art.
Thank you, Art.
Next up is Director Nancy Carroll. Ms. Carroll, ever since you arrived to the board back in 2017, you've been one of our most dedicated members, most energetic, and haven't shown any signs of slowing down. A representative of the city of Beaumont, you've always have great input during our board meetings, offering valuable support and guidance when needed most. In addition to your responsibilities on the board, you have served on the Budget and Finance Committee, where you helped RTA stay fiscally responsible and make good use of taxpayer dollars. You were also a longtime member of the Administration and Operations Committee, serving twice as its chair, where you provided exceptional leadership for the group. You have always been so involved in your community and encouraged public transit wherever you could. You were a longtime member of the Pass Area T-Now chapter and served on Transportation Now since your first day. You were also a big competitor in our annual rodeos and brought a lot of excitement to the event. We will certainly miss you there. One thing about you is your sense of kindness and empathy for our customers. You really seem to grasp what our customers want and are able to connect with them on a personal level. That is a rare thing, and we are lucky to have you on our board. On behalf of RTA, it is my pleasure to present you with a gift in appreciation of your service. And again, it will be mailed to you. Thank you, Director Carroll.
Thank you. Thank you all. I have to say, I'm going to miss you terribly. You're a lovely group. I can't think of any group I've worked with that I've enjoyed as much. Your teamwork, your cooperation, your push always for the public. It's pretty hard to match. I feel good. I leave you in wonderful hands with Ray Santos. He's a terrific member of the community that always puts the citizens first, which is the attitude you really need to take when you're doing public transportation. So you're in very good hands. And you're all so capable. Art, Bridget, all of you. I mean, if I start to go through the list, you'll have to continue the meeting because you've just been great. And you'll be sorely missed. Thank you.
As you, Director Carroll, thank you. Next is Director Anthony Kelly Jr. And we know it. Director Kelly has literally grown up in RTA. Mr. Kelly, as a representative of the city of Hoopa Valley, you came here back in 2017 and played a big part on the governing board. You also served on the Budget and Finance Committee for the past 3 years, helping RTA to remain fiscally responsible and financially healthy. During your time, the agency continued to meet its fare box requirements, maintained a balanced budget, and got thumbs up from major audits that showed RTA continuing to perform at an elite level and making proper use of taxpayer dollars. You have a genuine passion for what you do. Your dedication to customer service and excellence on the road was contagious. You have RTA in your blood. Your mother was a longtime employee at RTA, and you grew up around RTA and know many of the people who work here. With that kind of background, it's no surprise that you wanted to serve on this board. It's also no surprise how much you contributed to the group and how much you truly cared about our success. Make no mistake, we are fortunate to have you on this board. You're always a strong advocate for your home city, pushing for bus stop improvements and encouraging the youth to get out and ride the bus. You're also a heck of a bus driver, and we will miss you at the annual rodeos. Again, thank you for your hard work on our RTA Board of Directors. We are sad to see you go and wish you the best of luck. You have a bright future ahead of you. As a token of appreciation, please accept a gift on the behalf of RTA, and it will be mailed to you. Did you want to make a few comments?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, Chair Moore. Thank you, Madam Chair Moore, and to my fellow colleagues and RTA staff. You know, I recall being 4 years old, you know, running around the classic pool table that is still there, you know, pressing the button on our vending machines, you know, with the great choices of snacks and the great choices of sandwiches. But at the same time, you know, being able to witness my mother, Miss Valerie Warhop, who I served for RTA for 34 years, not only climb the ranks from dispatch, you know, all the way to management to even the labor operations officer, to the point where I've had the honor to serve on the same governing board that still operates and utilizes the same policies that she was able to help to incorporate with the great staff of RTA, you know, and at the same time, being able to witness CEO, Mr. Larry Rubio, you know, climb the ranks as well, you know.
I sent it already. That's the one for Pilar, yeah.
It's been a privilege, you know, it's been an honor, you know, and I just know for a fact, and I will always state this, Riverside Transit Agency.
Yeah, I never tried it. Are they all right?
It's pretty good. Yeah, I don't mind them. I think they're really good. So, yeah.
Please mute your, hello, please mute your device. Director Kelly is speaking.
Oh, thank you. You know, it's been an honor to be able to serve, you know, but at the same time to represent America's greatest public transit agency. I know from my fellow governing board members, you know, I've learned a lot from plenty of you and all of you. I will miss you all a lot, you know, and at the same time, I was able to create long-lasting relationships, you know. So I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity to serve. To my fellow millennial, you know, Mr. Jeremy Smith, continue to represent well. and to everyone as a whole, brother. Yes, sir. And as a whole, you will definitely see this handsome face more often. You know, big plans are in the future, but at the same time, I will always be an advocate for RTA. Thank you again for this opportunity.
Oh, thank you, Director Kelly. We're going to miss you. Yay. Next is Director Greg August. Mr. August, I wanted to take a moment to thank you for all your contributions to Riverside Transit Agency. As a representative of the city of Menifee, you're always a true champion of public transit, and your contributions to the cause will last for many years to come. Since your arrival to the board in the winter of 2012, you played a major role in our accomplishments. In addition to your duties on the governing board, you are a valuable member of Administration and Operations Committee and also serve on Transportation Now. You are a strong advocate for the senior community of Menifee and regularly attend the Southwest T-Now chapter. Since your arrival to the board, the city of Menifee has continued to grow, and so too has the need for RTA service in the area. You've worked hard to bring unlimited bus rides to the students of Mount San Jacinto College in Menifee and San Jacinto, enhanced bus shelters in your community, and stood by tough decisions to maintain core service during these challenging times. You're a leader on this board, and you have earned the respect of everyone here. Thank you so much for serving on the board, and we wish you the best of luck wherever you go. As a token of our appreciation, please accept a gift on behalf of RTA, and it will be mailed to you. Director August?
Can you hear me, Chair, Madam Chair?
Yes, we can.
Okay, a minute of comments here. To you and members of the board, the RTA staff, employees, and especially CEO Larry Rubio. To the entire RTA family, thank you all for 7 years of extraordinary support, unbelievable kindness, and making me feel welcome and accepted from day one. There's nothing I can say about the excellent reputation of RTA that hasn't been said 1,000 times, except that I agree with it 1,000 times more. For several weeks now, as members are preparing to depart or separate from RTA, there is one spoken sentiment ever present from all members: adulation, adoration, devotion, respect, and love for CEO Larry Rubio. I share, and from someone who knows a little bit about leadership, knowing that true leadership is tested leadership, I commend his leadership over the past year in having to make all too many difficult, sometimes unpopular decisions. RTA is very fortunate to have Mr. Rubio leading RTA through this crisis. From me, the city of Menifee, thank you all. Have a Merry Christmas and safe Christmas. I have enjoyed it all. Thank you very much, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director August. So also leaving the board this month are Director Barry Bush, representing Riverside County, District 5, and Director Brandon Plott from the city of Eastville. Neither were able to attend the meeting today due to other commitments, but I do want to acknowledge all the time and hard work they put in on the RTA Board of Directors. Both made valuable contributions that make RTA a better place today. I wish them great success as they move forward. Directors Bush and Plot will also be receiving It's an Engraved Clock as a token of our appreciation, and they will also be mailed. Thank you all. Let's give them a clap. So we have a lot of new members today. Yeah, new members and new faces today. So I am going to go through the group assignments because our new members might not know them. So group 1 will be David Happy. Please mute. Thank you. Group 1 is David Happy, Ray Santos, Linda Molina, Linda Krupa, and Alonzo Ledesma. Group 2 is Jeremy Smith, Jim Steiner, Timothy Sheridan, Lisa Sobek, Scott Vinton, and Zach Schwenk. Group 3 is Jocelyn Yao, Anthony Kelly, David Marquez, Erwin Hanna, Malcolm Corona, and Andy Melendrez. And Group 4 is Karen Spiegel, Jerry Sinstit, Michelle DeArmond, and Art Welch. Okay, next is item 6, approval of the minutes for November 19th, 2020 board meeting. Does any of the board members have any comments? Okay, hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved. No. Second.
Okay, I heard Calamisa and Arts. Did you get that, Jen?
Yes, thank you, Chair Moore.
Okay. Are there any no's? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the motion has passed. Thank you. Next is item 7, the consent calendar. All items on the consent calendar will be approved by one motion, and there will be no discussion on individual items unless a board member or member of the public requests a specific item to be pulled from the calendar for separate discussion. And this is where those board member assignments come in. Does any board member from group 1 wish to pull an item for discussion? Does any board member from group 2 wish to pull an item for discussion? Does any board member from group 3 wish to pull an item for discussion? Does any board member from group 4 wish to pull an item for discussion? Does any member of the public on the call wish to pull an item for discussion? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Rupa Valley moves.
Second.
Okay, Rupa Valley and San Jacinto, thank you. Are there any no's? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the motion has passed. Thank you. And that moves us on to item 8, approve the amendment to the Human Resource Policies and Procedures, Section 9-1, COVID-19 Leave and Compensation Policy, and extend the expiration to March 31st, 2021. And Laura Camacho will present.
Thank you, Chair Moore and members of the board. My name is Laura Camacho, Chief Administrative Services Officer for the agency. As the board is aware, we continue to cope with the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. On March 26, 2020, the board approved the Human Resource Policies and Procedures Section 9-1 COVID-19 Leave and Policy Compensation Policy, which was developed to provide specific procedures for responding to employee leave requests as a result of having been directly or indirectly affected by COVID-19. This temporary policy also complemented the Families First Coronavirus Response Act, or FFCRA, which became effective on April 1st, 2020. Both FFCRA and the agency's COVID-19 leave policy are set to expire on December 31st. It is expected we will continue to deal with COVID-19 into 2021. Staff anticipates that employees' need for leave will therefore also continue. Staff recommends amending the COVID-19 leave policy and extending the policy for 3 months with an expiration of March 31st of 2021. Staff also recommends the agency continue to suspend the agency's attendance policy for COVID-19 related symptoms, so employees are not penalized for absences that could potentially be COVID-19 related. The amended COVID-19 policy would continue to allow employees time off with pay up to maximums outlined within tiers 1, 2, and 3, should they or their eligible dependents contract COVID-19, be exposed to COVID, suffer COVID-like symptoms, or be affected by school closures or loss of childcare due to COVID-19. Employees who have not used the maximum leave and pay allotments under these policy tiers would have those balances rolled over into 2021 and can use them through March 31st. The agency would continue to evaluate and approve work from home under tier 4 as well. Should FFCRA be extended and or amended and provides a richer benefit to employees, the agency will provide those benefits to its employees as required. The agency will also comply with any other federal or state provisions which may provide a richer benefit, such as the November 30th Cal OSHA Emergency Temporary Standards. These standards were adopted recently to protect workers from hazards related to COVID-19 and are in effect until May 28, 2021, and could be extended. For your information, part of the requirements of the OSHA standards are for employers to provide leave and pay for employees who contract COVID-19 and are exposed to COVID-19 at work. When these standards apply, they may afford leave and pay above what our current policy provides, and in those instances, the agency will comply. Although there are many similarities between FFCRA and OSHA regulations, there are also several differences that are greater than the FFCRA. An employer must make the following actions when they have been identified by the local health department or OSHA as a location of a COVID-19 outbreak, or until there are no new COVID cases detected in the workplace for 14 days. And that is to provide COVID-19 testing to all employees at the exposed workplace, provide testing at no cost to the employee during their normal working hours, and all employees in the exposed workplace are to be tested and then tested again 1 week later. If an employee tests positive in either of the first 2 COVID tests, the employee shall provide continuous COVID testing of employees who remain in the workplace at least once a week or more frequently as determined by the local health department until there are no new cases detected for a period of 14 days. Our RTA will also follow any additional OSHA required testing. In the event of a major outbreak, where there are 20 or more COVID-19 cases in an exposed workplace within a 30-day period, the following shall apply until there are no new cases detected in the 14-day period. The employer shall provide twice a week COVID testing or more frequently if recommended to all employees present at the exposed workplace during the relevant 30-day period. Additionally, similar to the FFCRA, the OSHA regulation provides that an employee who is identified as a close contact to a COVID case shall be directed to quarantine after the last known date of exposure. As with FFCRA, COVID-19 cases are excluded from the workplace until they return to work. However, under the OSHA regulations, there are no maximums on compensation or benefits for employees quarantined or excluded from work due to work-related exposures. In regard to the fiscal impact, approximately 79% of our employees, or about 381, will have a COVID policy leave balance available after December 31st. This remaining balance could be used through March 31st of 2021, and the cost for that COVID leave use is already included in our current fiscal year budget. Due to no maximums on the compensation and benefits for exposure and COVID-19 work-related cases under Cal OSHA, a fiscal forecast could not be developed. This item was discussed at the Board Administration and Operations Committee meeting on December 2nd. The committee members unanimously approved and recommended this item to the full Board of Directors for their consideration. The recommendation before you today is to approve the amendment to the Human Resource Policies and Procedures, Section 9.1, COVID-19 Leave and Compensation Policy, and extend the expiration to March 31st of 2021. That concludes my presentation, Chair Moore.
Thank you so much. Are there any questions or comments from Group 1? Are there any questions or comments from group 2? Are there any questions or comments from group 3? Are there any questions or comments from group 4? Are there any questions or comments from the public?
Yes, Chair Moore. Mr. Art Aguilar, ATU President, would like to speak.
Okay, Mr. Aguilar, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, and also the board for RTA. Congratulations for those of you who were elected in. You don't know what you're getting into, but it'll be an adventure for you. My name is Art Aguilar, President, Business Agent of Amalgamated TransUnion Local 1277, and also Chairman of the California Conference Board, which represents over 13,000 proud men and women who are moving California for the ATU and other public and private agencies. And I'd just like to say, a point of privilege is that Mr. Rubio and I have been working closely together. I know we had a little misunderstanding earlier in the year, but I'm signing on today to let you know that I support this item number 8, and hopefully continue to help our brothers and sisters there at Riverside Transit. And hopefully this will be the last time we need this. However, from what I'm hearing, we may still be under this by next fall. So I know I'll be looking forward to working with Mr. Rubio and continue to take care of the proud men and women who move Riverside County. So thank you for your time. Happy holidays to all of you, and take care.
Thank you, Mr. Aguilar. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak? Okay, hearing none, do I have a motion to adopt?
Calamesa moves to approve.
Corona
Thank
second.
you.
Senacinto second.
I got Calamesa and Corona. Thank you. Are there any no's? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the motion has passed. Next is item 9, authorization to award agreement number 20-048 to SOMAS for architectural and engineering services for the Vine Street Mobility Hub project. And Vince Russo will present.
Thank you, Chair Moore. Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Vince Russo. I'm the Chief Procurement Logistics Officer for RTA. This item is a request for authorization to award an agreement to the engineering firm SOMAS for architectural engineering and construction management services for the agency's planned mobility hub located on Vine Street across from the downtown Riverside Metrolink station. Beginning in the early 1980s, the agency had operated from the city-owned transit center in downtown Riverside. However, we ceased operating from that facility in January of 2017 and moved to on-street transfers and to a temporary layover location on Vine Street. This move was made because the downtown facility was at capacity and could no longer support the agency's current operations or accommodate any future expansion. One of the preferred sites in the city's 2025 general plan to locate a new mobility hub in downtown Riverside was on Vine Street because of its proximity to the Metrolink station, major employment centers, county and city government buildings, the convention center, as well as the UCR and RCC college campus. The project site is approximately 4.7 acres. It is located on Vine Street directly across from the downtown Riverside Metrolink station between 10th Street on the north and 14th Street on the south. The project will include up to 18 bus bays, an operator lounge, restroom facilities, a security office and storage area, support vehicle charging station, staff parking, and other passenger amenities. At its July 23rd board meeting, the board unanimously approved the conceptual plan for this project and authorized staff to move forward with the A&E phase of the project. To that end, on September 8th, staff issued request for proposals number 20-048. On October 13th, the agency received proposals from 2 vendors, SOMAS and SPA Architects Incorporated. An evaluation committee representing staff from the planning, operations, risk, and purchasing departments evaluated the proposals in accordance with the Federal Brooks Act procedures, which precludes the use of price as an evaluation criterion. Proposals were scored in 3 general areas listed as evaluation criteria in the RFP documents. The next step in a Brooks Act procurement is to begin negotiations with the highest technically ranked firm. These negotiations continue until a fair and reasonable price is negotiated. After the evaluation committee carefully reviewed the two proposals, SOMAS was determined to be the highest technically ranked firm. The committee met virtually with SOMAS team on November 5th to discuss the project in detail and negotiate pricing. The meeting culminated with a request for best and final offer pricing. A review of the fees submitted by SOMAS was determined to be fair and reasonable for the scope and size of this project and were within the agency's estimated budget, which was based on several similar type projects. SOMAS has completed several projects for the agency in the past. Based on the evaluation committee's technical evaluation, along with the successful outcome of negotiations, staff has determined SOMAS to be the best value for the agency for this project. In addition to the proposed amount, staff also recommends the proposed agreement include a 10% contingency to be utilized in the event of any unforeseen circumstances during both the preparation of construction documents and the construction management and administrative phases. And as always, this use would be subject to a future change order or amendment to the proposed contract if necessary. Sufficient funds to cover this request are included in the agency's board-approved capital budget. This item was discussed at the Board Budget Finance Committee meeting on December 3rd. The committee members unanimously approved and recommended this item to the full Board of Directors for their consideration. The recommendation today is to authorize staff to award agreement number 20-048 to SOMAS for A&E services for the Vine Street Mobility Hub project in the amount of $1,072,852.27 with a 10% contingency of $107,285.23 for a total not to exceed project total of $1,180,137.50. That concludes my presentation, Chair Moore.
Thank you, Vince. Are there any questions or comments from group one? Are there any questions or comments from group two? Are there any questions or comments from group three? Are there any questions or comments from group four? Are there any questions or comments from the public?
I have not received any requests in writing.
Thank you, Joan. Hearing none, do I have a motion to approve?
Moreno Valley.
Calamasa
seconds.
Moreno Valley, Calamasa, thank you. Are there any noes? Are there any abstentions? Thank you. The motion has passed. Next is item 10, authorization to award agreement number 20-001 to Empire Transportation for fixed route transportation services, and Natalie Zaragoza will present.
Thank you, Chair Moore, and good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Natalie Zaragoza, and I'm the agency's Director of Contracts. Since we have a few new board members with us today, I want to include just a few highlights of this recommendation so that everyone will better understand why this is such an important project for the agency. As the Consolidated Transportation Services Agency for Western Riverside County, the agency operates transit services throughout the Western Riverside County area. This includes fixed route bus services operated by the agency, referred to as directly operated service, and contracted fixed routes that are operated by a third-party contractor, which is the subject of this report. The agency also contracts out its ADA-mandated complementary paratransit services that are known as dial-a-ride. This is a shared ride program available for people who are unable to use the fixed route bus service because of functional limitations. The agency's very large service area of 2,500 square miles creates challenges when it comes to providing efficient and cost-effective bus service, particularly in the non-urbanized areas. Historically, one way the agency has been able to control costs and provide efficient service is by outsourcing the services to third-party contractors. Of the agency's 457,778 annual fixed route service hours that are projected as of the most recent service change, approximately 29% of those hours are CFR service provided by our third-party transportation contractor. CFR service also represents approximately 15% of the agency's annual operating budget and employs 118 individuals in positions such as drivers, mechanics, dispatchers, and admin support personnel. Prior to issuing the procurement, the challenges created by this year's COVID pandemic had to be taken into consideration. Those highlights are as follows. New state issue mandates for county businesses and schools concerning when they could and could not be open. Internal research of ridership found that levels decreased by almost 70% early on this year on contracted fixed routes, resulting in the temporary suspension of 7 routes. New social distancing protocols enacted by the agency to limit close face-to-face contact also had the result of reducing the maximum passenger capacity of the vehicles used by our contractor. Reducing the number of passengers from 27 to 7 passengers per bus enables a social distance of 6 feet between passengers. Because of these new protocols and to ensure that no passenger is left behind, sweeper buses are used on routes where passengers are left behind due to the reduced passenger capacity of vehicles. To date, the use of these sweeper buses has been minimal, but that is another unknown for the service. New contract for these services that will begin in July of next year will continue to utilize 79 agency-provided vehicles, so that not only will they be in place should ridership increase to pre-COVID levels, but the vehicles themselves will continue to be used and properly maintained. Finally, the agency's contractors had to implement their own screening and contact tracing protocols to prevent the spread of the virus within their staff and to ensure the safety of the riding public. The true effect of many of these COVID factors is almost impossible to plan for, and in fact, they create a lot of uncertainty to both the agency and to proposing firms, as no one can predict when ridership will come back or how long preventive measures will be needed. Even with all of the above challenges, contracting out these services is still a more cost-efficient matter of providing transportation in the non-urbanized areas. Therefore, in anticipation of the current contract's expiration date of June 30, 2021, staff issued a request for proposal on August 19 of this year. As always, the RFP specified that the proposed agreement would be for a 3-year base period with 2 one-year options beginning July 2021 and going through June 30 of 2026. On September 30, in response to this RFP, the agency received 3 proposals. As is the normal process, an evaluation team of members from the Departments of Purchasing, Operations, Maintenance, and Risk Management reviewed each proposal for its technical content. Based on the results of this initial evaluation, all 3 vendors were invited for in-person interviews. Actually, this year we used Microsoft video meeting software. The interview process is a very critical part of the overall evaluation, and I want to emphasize this because the interview process gives staff the ability to directly interview the key individuals that would be assigned to manage the agency's contract services. The FTA's best practice manual states that the evaluation of key personnel is suggested if the procurement involves services or requirements where management of the work is a critical factor in determining its success. As I stated earlier, this is a large operation and represents about 29% of the agency's service. Of the 3 teams interviewed, the team from Empire really stood out in their ability to think their way through the hypothetical scenarios and in each individual's overall knowledge of their proposed position on the project team. I can't emphasize enough how important this is because at the end of the day, it is these individuals who will be managing the agency's contracted operations and will be the face of RTA to the riding public. Conversely, and as an example, the operations manager proposed by First Transit had difficulties with the hypothetical scenarios, both in understanding the situations and in formulating adequate responses. Following the reviews and based on evaluation committee member assessments, a low technical score received by Halcon Corporation meant they were no longer within the technically competitive range, and they were eliminated from further consideration. The last step in the procurement process is to provide vendors with the opportunity to clarify pricing through best and final offers. Included in the agency's BAFA request were vendor-specific questions dealing with differences in various cost elements of their cost proposals. Vendors were also asked to ensure that their final pricing included all known or anticipated costs. Again, this is another important point because in the past we have had vendors come back and ask for more money, saying they had overlooked something in developing their cost proposal. Based on the results of the overall weighted average scores, the BAFA submissions, formal interview results, and the committee's careful consideration of both First Transit and Empire, overall the committee concluded that the lower pricing and the proposed team for Empire provided the best value for the agency. As part of the procurement, vendors were instructed to use the SoCal Gas Index as the baseline for calculating their fuel expenses for their operation of the 100% CNG fleet assigned to this contract. As with all transportation contracts, an de-escalator clause in the agreement allows for an increase or decrease in the hourly rate based on the methodology shown on page 138 of today's agenda. BAFA pricing for Empire shown on table 2 on page 137 of today's agenda reflects their final pricing, but does not include adjustments for fuel that may be needed during the proposed 5-year contract period. To address this, staff estimates that over the contract period, Increases in fuel costs may impact the overall contract value by approximately 2%, or an additional $1,321,047.55, making the total not to exceed contract amount $67,372,405.11. Fuel contingency is only utilized when the commodity cost of natural gas fluctuates 10% or more over the contract baseline amount. As with all transportation contracts, the proposed agreement also includes contract provisions to adjust the hourly rate up or down based on changes to service levels. Any future adjustments approved by the board that increase or decrease service hours will be incorporated into this proposed agreement with a formal amendment. If approved, this agreement is scheduled to start July 1, 2021. Funding for these services will be incorporated in the agency's budget request for FY22. Funding for future years will be requested in future fiscal year budgets. This item was discussed at the Board Budget and Finance Committee meeting on December 2nd, and the committee members unanimously approved and recommended this item to the full Board of Directors for their consideration. Therefore, the item before you today is as follows. Authorize staff to enter into Agreement 20-001 with Empire Transportation for contracted fixed-route services for a 3-year base period with 2 one-year option periods in an amount not to exceed $67,372,405.11, which includes a 2% contingency for fuel increases in fuel costs during the contract period. Thank you, and that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Natalie. Are there any questions or comments from Group 1? Are there any questions or comments from Group 2? Are there any questions or comments from Group 3?
Chair, Moreno Valley.
Yes.
I noticed that this company's out of the county. Are they going to have an office? Maybe this is addressed to staff. Are they going to have an office within the RTA offices, or what, how are we going to make contact with them?
Yes, Director Meadows, thank you for that question. Marquez, sorry. They have a project office that is located in Paris.
Oh, okay.
Paris, California.
Okay.
That's where they operate from.
Okay, that's all I need to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Are there any other questions from Group 3? Are there any questions or comments from Group 4?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is District 1.
Yes.
Just a quick question. Do we know the extent of COVID-19 impact on the Empire team over the past few months?
Yes, we do, Director Sinches. This is Vince Russo. They have to report all COVID related infections to us immediately following when they become known about that. So they do report those to us. Over the last couple of weeks or the last month, I want to say there may have been about two.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from Group 4? Are there any questions or comments from the public?
I have not received any requests in writing, Chair Moore.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on the line that would like to make a public comment? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve?
Hooper Valley moves.
Moreno Valley.
Okay, I heard Hooper Valley and Calamasa. Are there any no's? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the motion has passed. Next is item 11. Authorize staff to seek public comment on proposed system-wide service reduction recommendations, and Kristen Warsinski will present.
Good afternoon, Chair Moore, members of the board. My name is Kristen Warsinski, and I'm the Director of Planning. The item before you today is requesting authorization to seek public comment on proposed system-wide service reductions. On April 5th, 2020, RTA reduced service to 7-day Sunday schedule with select commuter peak service in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. It is unknown how long the social and financial impacts of the pandemic will last. Therefore, RTA must reevaluate its service network. On October 15th, 2020, RTA engaged transportation Transportation Management and Design, or TMD, to evaluate our network and make suggestions to improve efficiencies. We now have a presentation for you on TMD's findings and recommendations. I would like to introduce Russ Chisholm from TMD, and Russ, it's all yours.
Thank you, Kristen. Good afternoon, Chair Moore, members of the board. Pleasure to be here. Next. Why are we here? As Kristen indicated, the pandemic has resulted in a very significant drop in ridership between this year and last year, approximately 62%. Currently, all the routes are operating at Sunday service levels, but on many of the routes, the service levels remain low. The service performance is quite low. The challenge here is that the service is already very streamlined. As you may recall, staff have you and the staff have gone through a process of the COA and continuing to refine and optimize to deliver the most efficient and effective system. So there is not really any low-hanging fruit in the system at this point. So the need to reduce service levels is important in order to remain financially sustainable. The service will continue to be evaluated on an ongoing basis, and future changes will be made in response to demand as everyone learns more about coming out of COVID. Now, the guiding principles for developing the plan you see before you today was first to maintain the core network. This is where the majority of the ridership takes place. We did not want to downgrade frequencies of strong performing routes. We wanted to maintain lifeline transit service for riders who rely on RTA. Wanted to ensure there were no major network gaps, and we wanted to find, if possible, more cost-effective alternatives where the fixed route service was performing in a very low fashion. We wanted to reduce any route overlap and duplication where we had multiple services that were within walking distance of the same customers. Wanted to make sure each of the remaining routes serves a unique role in the network. 4, we wanted to target the routes with the lowest performance. We're looking at routes that were generating fewer than 5 passengers per revenue hour pre-COVID. That's not today, that's back before the pandemic hit late last year. And we compared 2019 and 2020 data to evaluate reasons for the low performance. In some cases, routes that saw substantial ridership decreases carried a lot of student riders. So in those cases, as the schools start to reopen, ridership comes back, service will be adjusted. Next. So I'll take you through a process, talking about each of the routes and what the plan is. So the first one here, and you'll see each of the routes is highlighted on the map to the right. The first is Route 26, and these are staying consistent with plans were already in place next year to discontinue Route 26. That will continue to move forward. Next. Discontinue low-performing fixed routes until demand returns to 40 Quail Valley. You can see at the bottom of the map. Next. Discontinue low-performing route tails. These are the very end of routes, which may not have a lot of ridership. We identified several of those. Route 1 in Corona, west of Smith and 6th. That is proposed for discontinuation. This Route 1 will still service the Corona Transit Center, so Metro access will still be there. Route 15 west of the Galleria at Tyler. You can see that. Next. The Route 21 north of the Pedley Metrolink station. There's a lot of overlap with routes 29 and 49 up there. Next. To gain efficiencies by reducing overlap between routes, Route 18 in Moreno Valley Mall overlaps 11, 19, and 20. And when we looked at this, virtually all of the riders on that route are within walking distance of the other routes. Next. As ridership improves, reinvest resources to meet demand. Again, For the foreseeable future, safe distancing will be a requirement, so maintaining adequate capacity will be important. Next question. The commuter link routes, longer distance travel. Let's talk just a second about how this differs from local service. Local service has tended to maintain more of its riders. You know, there's more essential travelers using them. On the commuter link routes, ridership has really plummeted on most. One concern moving into the future is that many businesses are starting to look at allowing people to work from home post-pandemic. So one of the concerns here is to make sure that we've got good ridership on these as we move forward. The concern is that many of the riders, if we had 10 people per trip before, are we going to have 3 or 4 when the pandemic's over because people are working from home, maybe 3 days a week? Anyway, so following on this, we'll be monitoring as demand starts to return, if it returns, particularly on all days. So you've got a very high peak vehicle demand here. These, for the most part, these are often one trip, one vehicle, inefficient driver shifts. In some cases, you have a driver who drives one trip in the morning and one in the afternoon to provide this service. It's quite expensive. So overall, this is probably your least efficient service in the system. It's also the one that's going to be most challenged by the pandemic. At this time, the proposal is to not restore service on routes that are not currently operating. 202 Temecula to Oceanside, 217 San Jacinto to Escondido. To stay consistent with planned FY21 service changes, 210 was already approved for discontinuation from Riverside to Beaumont. To tailor service to match demand, Route 204 and 206, Riverside to Ontario and Temecula to Corona. In this case, when we say tailor service to match demand, we've eliminated some of the trips, particularly trips that were operated by one bus, one driver. The trips we tended to keep were the ones where we got 2 or more trips from each bus and driver because they're more cost effective. And then last is to discontinue service until demand returns on the 205 from Corona to Orange County, 208 Temecula to Riverside. Next. Okay. Hemet, San Jacinto. We took a little bit of a different approach here. When we looked at the existing network, 80% of all the riders in Hemet are within a short walk of Florida, San Jacinto State Street, and Oakland Avenue. There was a lot of overlap and competition for riders between the various routes in Hemet, and it was very challenging to serve people's origins and destinations efficiently with fixed route alignments, efficiently for you, but also effectively for the customer, because very often they had to travel significantly out of direction to get where they wanted to go. So the proposal, let's start off with what's there today. If we look at the map, Route 31 coming from Riverside will stop at Mount San Jacinto College at the hub there. Route 74 and 79 coming up from the south, Menifee and Temecula will only go as far as Hemet Valley Mall. Route 28, which is on Florida, the purple route, will continue to operate as it is today, no changes. And the green route is a new circulator that's being proposed. It would provide 30-minute service operating up State Street, alternating up State Street and San Jacinto. This will provide connections between the hub at Mount San Jacinto and Hemet Valley Mall. It's also within walking distance of approximately 80%, not 80%, but the majority of the remaining riders are very close to that. Now, You can see the existing gray lines on the map. We're not planning to serve those with fixed route buses. What we're proposing there is to do a micro-transit pilot. And micro-transit is where the riders will request a ride through an app or on the phone, and they can travel between existing bus stops in the zone. They can connect into Mount San Jacinto College and Hammett Valley Mall to connect with other fixed route services, or they can just travel within that zone, you know, if they're going shopping or so forth. The micro-transit would have a guaranteed 60-minute response time. From the point you call and say, I want to travel, you'll have a trip within 60 minutes. They'll have a more direct trip to their destinations. It is shared ride, so sometimes it will pick people up going to and from your destination. The advantage here is that we are able to deliver this coverage with 2 to 3 vehicles, whereas it was taking us approximately 6 large buses previously to provide the same level of service. Okay. Estimated annual cost savings. Again, you know, the goal is to develop a financially sustainable RTA that will be able to afford itself into the future. And here you can see the revenue hour savings and the cost savings, and you can see the split between the directly operated and the contracted out, which you discussed in the previous board item. So it's a total of about 41,000 annual revenue hours, and it'll save approximately $3.4 million a year. Next. Kristen, you want to talk to this, or would you like me to finish up?
I can take it, Russ. Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. So if this is approved today, staff will engage the public through 4 virtual meetings, which will be held on December 28th and 29th. And we will accept comments via email, website, social media, and telephone. We have created a web page for this, and if approved, you can find it at riversideTransit.com/change21. We will also record ourselves talking over this presentation that you just saw and post that for people who can't make one of the community meetings so that they can hear an explanation instead of just reading the slides. Results of the public outreach efforts would be presented at the January board meeting, at which time we will be looking for direction moving forward. So the recommendation is as follows. Authorize staff to seek public comments on proposed system-wide service reduction recommendations. Thank you, Chair Moore. That concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Kristen. I know we have some new board members today, and this may seem daunting, and you're coming on, you know, you're coming into your new positions and onto new boards during a pandemic. So this is going to be a lot to go on. So if you feel a little overwhelmed today, this is a lot going on today. Are there any questions or comments from group 1?
Yes.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
Just that when we do the public outreach, I would really emphasize maybe getting feedback on whether any of these discontinued routes will cause further unemployment with people who rely on bus routes to get to their jobs. And if that could kind of be a focal point. And also my question is, depending on the results of post-COVID, how quickly could RTA ramp up routes that would have increased demand?
Thank you, Director Krupa. We will make sure during the public outreach that we put an emphasis on if this is a sort of a lifeline service for people for their employment, and we'll make sure that we bring that back to you next month if we hear that. As far as a response to demand, we have schedules that are already made. That's the good thing about it. So it wouldn't be too difficult to pull back out, say if you're all of a sudden you have a demand for Route 32. we would pull out the schedules we have. We could run it from extra board until we do a bid, or we could do a bid at that time. It just depends on how much we have and what the union says. But we would certainly be ready with schedules, and we could respond really quickly if we need to.
Thank you. Appreciate those answers.
Thank you, Linda. Are there any questions or comments from Group 1?
Madam Chair, I have a question.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Lisa Silbeck, City of Menifee. I know this has to do with authorizing the public hearing, but I do have a question on how these cuts will affect the change of the RTA personnel levels.
I'll take that one, Director Sobek. We don't know at this time how it's going to impact our personnel. We do anticipate that as we move forward, if ridership doesn't return back to pre-pandemic levels, there will be an impact and there will be layoffs in the system. It could be through the contractors who provide service for us, our employees who work directly for RTA, or a combination of the two. We're operating, only serving 31% of our ridership that we used to. We're down 69% right now in ridership, and that's just not a sustainable system to keep operating at the levels we were pre-pandemic. So there will be an impact. We don't know to what degree just yet, but that will be provided to you with the analysis when we come back.
Okay, so I'm sure during this time, some of the RTA employees may already be on, I don't know what you, since my first day, on leave, or are they looking for other jobs, or are you helping them find other employment?
We're not at that point yet, just yet. We did reduce several departments at the onset of COVID whose jobs just disappeared. They involved working directly with the public, one-on-one, face-to-face, and we didn't have an alternative for that. The existing employees right now, most administrative staff are working from home. Bus drivers and mechanics are coming in every day and doing the same job they were pre-COVID, and their first line supervision, and many of the managers are coming in every day as well. We haven't begun talking about layoffs yet, so we haven't discussed outplacement services should we lay off, but that was something when, or if we get to that point, we would certainly entertain it or look at it.
That would be great. So that's all. I appreciate your answer, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Lisa. Are there any other questions from Group 2? Are there any questions or comments from Group 3?
Moreno Valley, Chair?
Yes.
Yeah, I had a note here from Moreno Valley staff. They state notes that in eliminating fixed route transit, which shifts some services to the Dow A ride, they're asking, basically what they're asking, this Dow A ride, if some of these routes have been discontinued in Moreno Valley, and these routes are not close enough, or bus stops are not close enough to the other routes, would the residents be able to use Dollar Ride if they're not handicapped or not able to walk that distance? Would they be eligible to get on Dollar Ride?
Director Marquez, Larry Rubio. I'll answer that question. There are certain criteria regarding disabilities or age in order to qualify for Dial Ride. So it can't simply be somebody who isn't a senior or qualifies under the Americans with Disabilities Act to access Dial Ride. However, the routes that are proposed to be modified, not just in Moreno Valley, but throughout the service area, are being proposed because there's another route nearby that is within the walking distance, and we believe it's quite doable for them to walk that area. Every bus ride starts with a walk and ends with a walk, regardless of how far you live from the bus stop and wherever your final destination is. So it might require a little bit more of a walk for people than they currently have, but it's within I believe the term planning uses is walking shed.
Yeah.
Or about 3/4 of a mile in another bus route.
Okay.
So it was very strategic. It wasn't something that was just put down and examined and said, well, there's another route nearby. The distances were evaluated and considered before the proposal to suggest eliminating it to you. The belief that we have and the standard used in public transit is that the alternate routes for those passengers are within walking distance.
And when you say that they qualify for Dollarite, meaning, let's say if someone had injuries and it's obvious that they can't walk a distance and they call Dollarite, is it up to that dispatcher or the bus operator to determine, okay, well, you qualify to Dollarite, so we'll pick you up? Where does that come in play when some of these are discontinued routes?
We have a pre-certification process that everybody who is eligible or everybody who wants to ride Dollarite has to go through. And we have a specialist on staff who will evaluate them and ask them if it's based on age solely. Well, that's simple enough with ID. But if it's for medical purposes, then we just ask for a statement from their doctor to qualify them. But it's not up to the dispatcher or the bus driver. Once they're certified, they have their certification on file in our computer system, and they're good to go with that.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from group 3?
Yes, Madam Chair, I had a question. This is
Okay.
Commissioner Melendez. How are you this afternoon?
Good, go ahead.
My question is very similar to what I had during our meeting, operations meeting on the microtransit, and I was given an explanation that it's almost like you pick up as individuals as the rides are needed, and what I think I mentioned something to the fact that it sounded more like personal rapid transit, something that was discussed a few years back. Could you give could the presenter give for me, I think, a fuller understanding of the microtransit and how that's going to work? Because it sounds like you are going to be picking up various individuals as needed, and it almost sounded like dial ride, but not quite dial ride. Almost sounded like a Uber group, but it really wasn't that either. Perhaps you can expand on that microtransit a little bit more.
Okay. The microtransit does have characteristics of dial ride. It does have characteristics of Uber and Lyft. The principal difference is that it's integrated into the transit system. It's part of the system. It's using advanced technology like Uber and Lyft, so it can more efficiently dispatch the vehicles and connect people. It is shared ride. It's not individual ride. And the vehicles, because we're using existing RTA vehicles, the vehicles will be Lyft equipped. So there's also going to be savings because you won't have to run ADA paratransit on top of it. So it's very much like a high performance dial ride.
Okay, I think it's important that we keep an eye on this. I would like more information. It conceptually sounds very different, obviously, than what we're accustomed to. So I would very much like to keep a close eye on this, see how it works. Obviously, would like to also hear from employees to see how this how it works. It just seems I don't know. It just sounds. I'm not sure if this would be a good fit for us, but I think that now that we're talking about it, it's on the table, and I guess important to hear others' opinions. So thank you so much for that explanation. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from group 4? Or we were still on group 3. I think that was it for group 3. Are there any other questions or comments from group 4? And are there any questions or comments from the public?
Yes.
Yes. Go ahead, Mr. Leader.
Yes. Go ahead.
ahead, Mr.
Yes,
Leader.
I submitted a letter, comment well ahead of the meeting time. I think you have that. Somebody has that.
Yes.
And if they'd be willing to read that, I'd appreciate it.
Okay. Joan, will you please read it?
Yes. Yes, thank you. I'm continuing my ongoing opposition to having no service on commuter link routes 202 and 217 connecting Temecula to Oceanside and Escondido respectively. I appreciate having at least some service, even if reduced, connecting Riverside County to San Diego County, as there is no current alternative service available, unlike some of the other routes being considered for elimination. While it's true that North County Transit District is considering rail service connecting Oceanside to Southwest Riverside County, this is many years from being a reality. Please reconsider your decision on routes 202 and 217. Thank you, Glenn Leader.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Leader. Is there anyone else on the line that'd like to make comments?
Yes, I would.
Okay, yes, please state your name.
Good afternoon. This is Mauro Varela, ATU Treasurer. And I just have a couple of questions that I would like the board to consider, considering these proposals. I understand it is just a community, a public outreach. But as far as the micro transit goes, one of the questions is, and thank you, Mr. Rubio, for reaching out and working with us, and I hope we continue to work together. But I do want to just make sure that if these micro transits are enacted, who will be operating the service? Will it be RTA, or will it be relegated to a third-party vendor, or will it be contracted out, basically? So that's just one of the questions and one of the concerns that the micro transits do bring. STA did have a pilot micro transit program, and we also represent some of the members out at Sunline Transit. And the micro transit out there is not entirely working the way that it was described. So just maybe some more information for RTA to reach out and get a little bit more information or more insight into these micro transits. With that, I thank you for your time, and hopefully these comments are taken into consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else on the line that would like to make public comments? Hearing no more, do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Thank you, Art.
Chair.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes.
It's Moreno Valley. Just a quick question on this
Okay,
transit micro.
Okay, can I just get a second, then you can
I'm
discuss it.
second. Dennis Pinto, second.
Okay, thank you, Senator Cento. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know if it makes a difference. On this micro, can it be separated from this whole agenda package for this item, or does it have to be a complete package to approve?
Why?
Well,
Madam Chair, if I may?
yes.
We're not asking for any approval of any route changes, any modifications, or implementation of microtransit. We're asking to solicit public input on these suggestions and then bring it back to the board for consideration. The microtransit portion, if it happens, would probably be a year or further out. There's a lot of work that needs to be done in preparation for it. So all we're doing right now is trying to get public input and then bring that information back to you to help you with your deliberations as we try to move forward.
Okay, I appreciate that, Mr. Rubio. And okay, thank you. That answers my question. Thank you.
I also have a question, Madam Chair. This is Commissioner Melendrez on that.
Yes.
And it has to do with, I guess it would be more for the director And that question would be, I would assume that current drivers with RTA would be transitioned into those micro transit positions and not be contracted out. I mean, I know it's very new and you're just in the first stages. Are those your initial thoughts at this point?
It's too far out for me to make a comment or recommendation. We've just begun to look at microtransit. It's new in this industry. It's something that we'll study and bring back to the board with a recommendation. But again, it's going to be much further out. It's not a near-term solution. It's going to be a few months, if not more than a year, before we get to that point.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And unfortunately, I'm working remotely. You probably notice I'm in a different spot right now. I am running out of charge. I don't have any objections to moving at this point forward.
Okay, thank you. So I do have a motion and a second. Are there any no's? Are there any abstentions? Okay, the motion has passed. Thank you. So January, this will be a scheduled time because January we'll be discussing this in detail. Next is item 12, approve the agency's zero emission bus ZEB rollout plan and board resolution for submittal to the California Air Resources Board, CARB. Kristen Morsinski will present.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, members of the board, my name is Kristen Morsinski and I'm the Director of Planning. The item before you today is a request to approve the agency's zero emission bus or ZEB rollout plan and resolution for submittal to CARB by the December 31st deadline. This is the final step in what became a year-long process of creating a rollout and implementation plan. Last month, we discussed technical study and you approved an all hydrogen fleet for RTA. Staff took that decision and created a rollout plan and resolution for your consideration. If approved, I'll submit them to CARB probably tomorrow so that we can meet the deadline of the 31st. And I just have a very brief presentation to go through a few items here. There we go. So the CARB ICP regulation requires us to submit the rollout plan. The rollout plan that they require is only attachment 5 in your packet. The rest of the reports you've been receiving and all the information is all the background we had to do to come up with the results for that attachment 5 and also to help us plan for how to implement this in the future. This table on your screen represents the requirement for the 40-foot direct operated vehicles that we have. So in 2023, when we issue a purchase order, it has to be 25% zero emission buses, and then it goes on from there. Requirements for 2023 and 2024 may be discharged if California transit agencies collectively purchase enough zero emission buses, so 850 by the end of 2020. We've heard that we're on track to do that. But CARB will not have the confirmation of that until sometime next year. They're still working on the reporting system that they're going to have transit agencies put their information in. Just as a reminder, this is the process we went through. We came to the board in February, again in November, and now here we are again. There was a lot of evaluation and modeling to truly understand what our ZEB future would look like. So the estimated procurement schedule for the direct ops 40-foot buses is on this slide. Just to point out a couple of things. The first 2 years, 2023 and 2024, we would still be receiving all CNG vehicles because the purchase order would be cut before the regulation goes into effect. In 2026 would be your first zero emission buses. There would be about 5 hydrogen buses. That would sort of be our pilot program where we'd try to learn about the technology and get staff and our maintenance team and our operations team used to it before we move forward. By 2030, we estimate having 29 hydrogen buses on site, and that would leave us still with 116 CNG vehicles. Any changes to the procurement schedule shown today will be brought back to the board. Mileage certainly is going to shift as we move through this pandemic and figure out what our new future looks like. We try to do the best we could to predict at this moment in time, but if we're either putting more miles on the buses than we assumed or less, we may have to adjust this a bit, but we will bring it back to you if we do that. For contract operations, the smaller cutaway buses, there's no requirement to purchase those until 2026, and that's only if there is an Altoona-approved engine available for purchase. That's an FTA requirement, and CARB has recognized that. So as of right now, there is not one that would meet our needs, but CARB is hopeful that there will be one by 2026. So we've submitted a plan assuming that there will be one, and if not, we'll have to adjust this. And again, if we have any change in mileage, we'll also bring it back to you. RTA's facilities were evaluated so we could better understand what would be needed in order to service and fuel the new vehicles, manage multiple fuel sources, and just deal with the changes. We'll have, as you saw, hydrogen buses and CNG buses on property together for quite some time. And so we needed to understand how to make room for both technologies at our Riverside and Hemet divisions. On your screen is a suggested layout for Riverside. Both facilities are in great shape. Riverside has a little bit more constraints as far as room, just because we are more built out, we have more buildings here, and it's just larger. However, there is still space for hydrogen fueling. It is recommended that we take a phased approach in Riverside. Initially, we would need a liquefied hydrogen tank, 2 pumps, and 2 dispensers. Once we get to 69 vehicles on property, we would need a 3rd pump and a 3rd dispenser. These plans that you have in your agenda packet can be used as a sort of a conceptual blueprint for future design, which should save on some of the planning costs and time down the road as we move towards this technology. You do have both minimalist and holistic approaches in the report. The difference is that the minimalist approach shows where we can put the new technology with all of our existing things staying where they are. So it's the cheapest way to do it. The holistic master plan shows you a way that we could reconfigure to make operations a little bit smoother, but it's a lot more expensive. We would be moving and rebuilding a lot of things. Hemet has plenty of capacity for expansion, and the only real limiting factor there is that part of the property is in a flight path for the Hemet airport. So it limits a little bit where we can put fuel, but there's still plenty of room for fuel storage for both. Again, you have both minimal impact and holistic master plans that we can use moving forward. And it is recommended that we install 2 hydrogen dispensers in Hemet. 1 would be sufficient, but if that went down, there would be nowhere for us to fuel our vehicles. So 2, that way if 1 stops working, we can still fuel our buses. As far as the financial implications go, this table estimates the cost from 2020 to 2040. You can see the ZED rollout column is what it's estimated to cost us going to zero emission. The 100% CNG is telling you what it would have cost if we were staying CNG. As you can see, the capital cost increase is significant, 23% or $76 million over 20 years. This is because hydrogen buses are more expensive than CNG vehicles, and we need all the infrastructure to fuel them. Operating costs are 2% greater. Most of that increase is attributed to the fuel. Hydrogen is still more expensive at this point. That cost may come down, but for now we left it where it is because we don't know that for sure. Also, insurance is extremely high. If you see, it's almost 50% higher than what we're paying right now because the vehicles are worth more, they're more expensive to insure. There's also some hesitancy on the part of insurance companies as far as how reliable they are. So the costs are high for that. In your report, you also have an appendix that shows what the costs are for 10% growth. This here in front of you shows no growth over 2019 service levels. So right now we're in Sunday service. So by the time we put out service and get back towards our 2019 levels, we don't know how long that's going to take, 2 years, 1 year, 5 years, we don't know. But after that is when we would start growing from what you see here. So for a while, as we recover and put our services back out, we're still going to be working within the range on this table. Ultimately, between 2020 to 2040, staff and the consultants estimate that RTA will probably grow somewhere in between no growth and the 10% growth. So by having both, we can kind of use those as bookends for financial planning, and then we can make adjustments in the future as we see how we recover. I did want to point out that the financial modeling is not a requirement for the rollout plan. it won't be included in what's being given to CARB. They didn't ask for that. However, we felt that this was crucial information for grant applications and financial planning. It will be a good backup document to have when we go out for competitive grants. There is no fiscal impact for approving the rollout plan and resolution. A funding plan for implementation will be developed and included in future budgets for board consideration. The recommendation is as follows. 1, approve the attached RTA ZEB rollout plan. And 2, approve resolution number 2020-05 and authorize the board chair to execute the resolution on behalf of the agency. Thank you, Chair Moore. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Kristen. Are there any questions or comments from Group 1?
Yes, this is Manning.
Yes, go ahead.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So obviously new to this this whole process, but my question is, I'm sure there have been alternatives looked at for zero emission buses, but obviously the hydrogen option is very expensive. What other options were looked at as far as zero emission buses? Thank you.
Yes, thank you. So we looked at everything that CARB is allowing us to buy under this regulation. So battery electric buses or hydrogen fuel cell buses are the 2 options. And the first thing we did was an energy consumption modeling where we looked at how long these vehicles are going to last, given that RTA service area is almost the largest in the nation, 2,500 square miles. So the issue became that with the battery buses, they would not last long enough without on-street charging in all of our 22 member jurisdictions. And when you try to think about how to put on-street chargers all over all of your cities, the costs would have been through the roof. So hydrogen is the one that has the range. We will be keeping an eye on technology. This plan is the plan for now, but CARB does expect us to provide updates. So if battery electric buses improve their range and we find a place for them, then we would be looking into that and we would bring that back to the board.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from Group 1? Are there any questions or comments from Group 2? Are there any questions or comments from Group 3?
This is Ted Hoffman from Norco,
Yes.
and I know Berwyn's on the road, and I'm going to be his replacement. I'll put my hat on so you have it. But one of the things, I also sit on the Western Community Energy Board of Directors, and what we are finding with these alternative energy sources and the state mandates is that now that there's also these public safety power shutoffs, along with what we had experienced last year with the heavy use in the heat, that we have an energy shortage. And so does this program allow for alternative, I know it's an ugly word in this industry, carbon-based energy for generators and that, because we are going to be impacted if we don't have any power to run these pumps that you need at each one of these stations. And even the electric buses would be the same way. We found this out. There's a serious shortage of power in the state, and it's not all going to be able to be produced by alternative energy. So there has to be a backup plan. And I would hope that in this process of building these bus stations with all these alternative energy, alternative fuel sources, that we look at maybe a diesel generator or a carbon-based pump type of a backup. Is that in the plan?
Yes, Director Hoffman, thank you for that question. Yes, when we do the facility plans and design, we will look at ways to back up. One thing that we did during this study was we did get in contact with Riverside Public Utilities, who provides the electricity for our Riverside division, and then Southern California Edison, who provides the electricity out in Hemet. And we did test our energy consumption now and what we think it will be in the future with these vehicles and having to fuel them with the hydrogen pumps. Neither utility gave any indication that it would be an issue if we went hydrogen. If it was battery electric buses, there would have to be some upgrades to the grid to allow for that. But on the hydrogen side, we didn't run into too many issues with that. But you're right, in either case, a lot of transit agencies are moving towards the zero emission technology, and I'm hearing that they do have generators to back it up.
Well, in the Hemet case, Hemet has been rated, the city of Hemet, during the public power shutoffs, they are targeted in that area for those shutoffs. While it hasn't happened, but during those high wind episodes, it is an issue, and that we'll have to address and keep monitoring. As sitting on like I said, I sit on the board of the Western Community Energy that provides power for 6 of these cities, and that's one of the issues. So just something to think about.
You got no ID? I don't got no ID. What you mean?
Isn't my face enough?
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments from group 3?
Yes, so the Anthony Kelly, Hooper Valley, pertaining to 2023, the first purchase, it would begin, and correct me if I'm wrong, it would be the first 5 hydrogen-based buses, and I know it's basically from 2023 to 2025. The purchase schedule is based upon 5%. So are we looking at a purchase of 5 buses for those years up until the 100% at 2029?
Yeah, so we went with a tiered approach. So in 2026 will be when you receive your first 5 hydrogen buses. Those will be purchased. The purchase order will be cut in 2024, which means we only have to buy 25%. So if we're getting 20 vehicles, we do 5 hydrogen and 15 CNG. And then we went on from there, and we went by when we would cut the purchase order, which is 2 years before you would actually receive the vehicle, at least 2 years.
Okay, understood. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from group 3? Are there any questions or comments from group 4? Are there any questions or comments from the public?
I have not received any requests in writing, Chair Moore.
Thank you, Joan. Okay, hearing no more, do I have a motion to approve?
Canyon Lake, so moved.
Okay, I got Harup and Canyon Lake. Are there any no's?
Sorry about this.
Are there any abstentions?
I've been on there for an hour and a half.
We can hear you.
I had it plugged into my charger though.
Okay, I think it's Berwin. We can hear you, Berwin. Okay, so that motion has passed. Okay, next is item 13, election of board officers, and Joan Hepworth will present.
Good afternoon, Chair Moore and members of the board. My name is Joan Hepworth. I am clerk of the board. Section 3.A of the procedures of the board of directors provides as follows. At the regular meeting in December of each year, the board shall elect a chairman, a vice chairman, a second vice chairman to be effective upon election, and who shall serve at the pleasure of the board and until successors take office. Current officers of the board in each position are as follows. Bridget Moore is chair, Berwin Hanna is first vice chair, Alonzo Ledesma is second vice chair. I will now turn over the discussion to Larry Rubio.
Thank you, Joan. Madam Chair, members of the board, on November 9th, the nominating committee met here at, well, actually it was virtual. And the members were comprised of Chair Moore, Directors Scott Benton, Art Welch, Zach Schwenk, and Jim Steiner. Zach Schwenk resigned from the committee in order to qualify for running. A member of the committee cannot run for one of these offices. He was replaced by Alonzo Ledesma on the committee. However, Mr. Ledesma did not participate in that meeting. The outcome of the meeting was that the members unanimously nominated or selected for your consideration Director Linda Krupa for chair, Director Zach Schwenk for first vice chair, and Director Linda Molina for second vice chair. Madam Chair, with that, I'll turn it over to General Counsel Barbara Raylanew.
Thank you, Larry, Madam Chair, and board members. I'm going to go through the nomination and voting process. The nominations are, as Larry just specified, they are subject to vote and approval of this board, and this is what you are about to do. These individuals are considered nominated for the respective office. In addition to that, any other board member may be nominated at the time of that vote by another board member. Any nomination from a board member today does not require a second. As a reminder, alternate board members may not serve as an officer. However, they are able to nominate a board member for office. In order to be elected, board policy requires that the elected officer receive a majority of votes of the board, which is 12. That number does not change based on how many board members are here today. So for example, if only 12 board members are present, which isn't the case, but it would require all 12 to vote in a like manner. If there's only one nominated individual for an office, we will conduct a verbal vote. If there's more than one individual nominated for an office, the clerk of the board will poll the board by jurisdiction, asking for a yay, nay, or abstain vote. If no individual receives the required 12 votes, a second poll will be immediately made between the two individuals receiving the most votes. There should be no more than 2 runoff votes. If after a third vote, no candidate has received 12 votes, the election for that office will be continued to our next regularly scheduled board meeting. Starting with the office of chair of the board, the committee has nominated Linda Krupa from the city of Hemet. Do we have any other nominations for the office of chair?
I move that we nominate Linda Krupa as chair of the board.
Second.
Right, so that's the nomination right now. Thank you. Are there any other nominations besides Linda Krupa? All right, hearing no other nominations, are there any, we'll take the vote now for that position for the office of chair. Are there any no's for selecting Linda Krupa in the office of chair? Are there any abstentions? Hearing none, Linda Krupa has been elected as chair of the board. I'm sorry, not yet. Now for the office of first vice chair of the board, the committee has nominated Zach Schwenk from the city of Temecula. Do we have any other nominations for the office of first vice chair? All right, if there are no other nominations for that position, then for the office of first vice chair, are there any no's for Zach Schwenk? Are there any abstentions? Okay, very good. Now for the office of second vice chair of the board, the committee has nominated Linda Molina from the city of Calamasa. Do we have any other nominations for the office of second vice chair? All right, hearing no other nominations, we can vote for that position. Are there any no's for Linda Molina for the office of second vice chair? Are there any abstentions for that office? All right, very good. So all the nominated individuals are selected unanimously by the board, with Linda Krupa as chair of the board, Zach Schwenk as first chair, and Linda Molina as second vice chair. Congratulations.
Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations.
Good choice. Good choice.
Congratulations from Menifee.
Thank you, Barbara. Next is item 14, in board meeting calendar for 2021, and Joan Hepworth will present.
Good afternoon, Chair Moore, members of the board. My name is Joan Hepworth, and I am clerk of the board. The RTA Board of Directors meets the fourth Thursday of the month from January through October at 2 p.m. The board is traditionally dark during the month of August, and during November and December, board meetings are held on alternate Thursdays at 2 p.m. to accommodate the Thanksgiving and Christmas holidays. A proposed meeting calendar for 2021, which coincides with the schedule for previous meetings, is detailed in Attachment A on page 278 of your agenda. The recommendation before you is to approve the board meeting calendar for 2021 as detailed in Attachment A. Chair, that concludes my presentation.
Thank you, Joan. Are there any questions or comments from Group 1? Are there any questions or comments from Group 2?
Yes, please, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Joan, you had said that November and December are dark, but yet it shows up in the calendar.
No.
August is
August.
dark.
Right.
Yeah. August is dark unless we have to meet. And then for November, December, we do move it up to the third Thursday.
Oh, moved it up. I beg your pardon. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Chair Moore, Senator Cinto.
Yes.
If you don't mind, I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
And I apologize. I don't know if you noticed right from the very beginning, I was having some issues trying to connect in. I had to install a new computer, new camera. So during the election, I kind of got missed the audio. So the nominations were for the next year or for the 2022? Where am I standing? Am I lose my position?
21.
21.
It was for year 2021, starting in January.
So why would be my position next year? I'm sorry, but I can't, like I said, I lost the audio. I see, but I can't hear.
Right. So do you remember back in the November meeting and we had asked for who wanted to be on the committee?
Yes.
And you had answered yes?
Yes, correct.
Right. So if you're on the nominating committee, then you can't run for actually a board position.
Okay. All right.
So.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Sorry you were unable to hear all that.
Yes, no, I wasn't.
So we were at question, we are still on 14. Are there any questions or comments from Group 1? Okay, are there any questions or comments from Group 2? Are there any questions or comments from Group 3? Are there any questions or comments from Group 4? Are there any questions or comments from the public?
I have not received any requests in writing, Chair Moore.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve?
Reno Valley.
District 1, second.
I heard Moreno Valley. Do I have a second?
District 1, second.
District 1. Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you. Are there any no's? Are there any abstentions? Okay, that motion has passed. Thank you. Next is item 15, and I believe Linda Krupa will be presenting.
Actually, I'm going to ask Larry to get this, to kind of tee this up.
We'll queue it up right now.
Thank you.
Sure.
Today, I would like to congratulate Bridget Moore for her valuable service as RTA's chair of the board. Is the video still running?
No, it's not.
Okay, we're going to have some technical difficulties, but we're going to prevail.
We're on now. Starting over.
So without any further delay, let's get this started.
I would like to congratulate Bridget Moore for her valuable service as RTA's chair of the board since September 2019. A representative from the city of Wildomar since 2008, Bridget's contributions over the past 16 months were numerous. It wasn't an easy year by any stretch of the imagination, but Bridget kept us moving forward. She unexpectedly took over when former Chair Randon Lane left. At that time, she was taking college courses, providing care for her family, and busy with her duties on the Wildomar City Council. We assured her that it would be a slow year. Well, that didn't go as we thought. Here are a few things that happened during her tenure. Faced with the pandemic, RTA had to make tough decisions when it came to how we operate service. With safety as a #1 priority, RTA implemented sweeping safety measures to require customers and drivers to practice social distancing and wear masks. With ridership and funding affected by the pandemic, she helped the agency strike a delicate balance between preserving core service levels and staying fiscally responsible. There were certainly some bright spots during the year. We launched a mobile ticketing app that effectively eliminates the need for paper passes. We purchased a fleet of electric support vehicles and modernized dozens of bus stops in several communities. As part of one of Bridget's personal goals, RTA began an ambitious free ride program for college students and area youth. During her tenure, RTA's much anticipated new mobility hub on Vine Street in downtown Riverside moved one step closer to reality. It was also a time to strengthen communities as RTA delivered meals to 100,000 homebound seniors stranded by the pandemic. That is a milestone we reached this month thanks to her leadership. Bridget was a strong member of Transportation Now, where she and members of the public advocated for public transit causes. Besides being a great leader, she was also a great driver and proved it more than once during our bus rodeos. She also showed so much support for our bus drivers. She never hesitated to recognize our drivers for a job well done. She also gave away several hero awards to drivers who went above and beyond their duty to find missing persons or protect at-risk children. Safety was also important to her. After a tragic accident on the 215 freeway, Bridget suggested we add a speed sensor to the buses, which would alert dispatch if a bus exceeded the posted speed limit. That technology didn't exist at the time, but our IT department worked with clever devices to develop a speed sensor to maximize safety. Thanks to Bridget, the technology is now being field tested and RTA will install them in the future. During Bridget's time as chair, RTA continued to make good use of taxpayer dollars, managed a responsible and balanced budget, and received positive feedback from independent and federal audits. Sometimes Bridget did her best work when she was out in the community. During one such occasion, she personally helped a stranded RTA bus navigate its way through a neighborhood that was closed by a house fire. She didn't mind getting her hands dirty either. When we installed a new bus shelter in her hometown, she actually helped tighten the bolts on the structure. When students had to study remotely due to the coronavirus pandemic, she pioneered the use of dial-a-ride buses as Wi-Fi hotspots for children without internet service. When the pandemic forced us to hold board meetings remotely, Bridget helped pioneer the first ever series of virtual meetings. With the approaching ZEB buses becoming a reality, Bridget suggested we advance the training of our mechanics to be prepared for the arrival of these vehicles. Maintenance staff has initiated the process to do just that. Thanks to her leadership, the board's mission and goals remained on track and our momentum never slowed. This is just a snapshot of some of the accomplishments Bridget has done during her tenure as board chair. There are plenty more. Thank you for your service, Bridget, and please accept this gift as a token of our gratitude for your leadership. Thank you, Bridget.
Thank you so much. That was very nice. I love the video. Thank you so much. I want to encourage other board members, if you're thinking about being second vice chair or first chair or board president, to please go for it. I was always hesitant, but staff, just Larry Rubio and the staff of RTA and the rest of the board is just amazing. You're really going to learn a lot. You're really going to get a lot out of it. So I encourage you to go for a board position when you can, when you feel you're ready. So thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Next is item 16, board member comments. Are there any comments from group 1?
Yes, Linda Molina.
Yes.
Bridget, I'd like to thank you for leading us in this tumultuous time. You did it with grace, and we honored a lot of staff, and that was, very commendable.
Yes. Did we lose you, Linda?
Seamless operation at all times. You're a great mentor. And I'd also like to extend my appreciation for the confidence of the board and the nominating committee for myself. I look forward to maybe someday holding the position that you have. So thank you for leading the path and showing us that it's a worthwhile endeavor. And we have such a great staff and great board. It's something to really aspire for. So thank you for all your hard work. I know when we go out of town, we even take buses from instead of Uber. So we really do walk the walk. And I thank you for your participation in that. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Christmas.
And Bridget, if I could extend my personal thanks to you for a job well done this year. And also thank the board of directors for your support for this coming year. I think we're going to have a few challenges, and I think this is an awesome board of directors. And I'm probably going to leave early because I have to give blood at 4:15.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to go do my civic duty and donate my blood. So
okay.
Again, thank you, Bridget, and thank you, RTA staff, and thank you, board of directors. I appreciate it.
Are there any other comments from group 1? Are there any other
in group 2. Okay, good.
Yes, go ahead,
I was just going to say thank you, Bridget, for your service, and welcome, Linda, from the city of Menifee. I have to leave at this time. I have a very important 4 o'clock meeting, but I'm glad I could be here today with all of you. Wish you all a happy holiday, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever it is that you do at this time of year, and look forward to seeing you as continuing as an alternate in 2021. Thank you, RTA.
Thank you, Lisa. Are there any comments from group 2?
Yes, please, Madam Chair.
Yes.
I want to thank you as well and congratulate you on the great job you did. I kind of came on board when you started as the alternate to Randon. And so you've been the leader ever since I've been on this, and you've done a tremendous job. And I appreciate all the effort that you've put forth and the great job that you did. I would also like to congratulate and thank the directors who are leaving, all of them, but specifically, I'm going to miss Greg and Anthony. Back when we got to be in chambers, they were sitting on either side of me, so I'll miss you two gentlemen greatly. Godspeed to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Scott, appreciate it, sir.
Are there any other comments from group 2?
Yes, Chair Moore, Zach from Temecula. I just wanted to say, sort of reiterate what everyone else is saying and appreciate your leadership this year. It's certainly been invaluable. It's been a tough year, and always look to you for that strong, steady leadership. So I appreciate that. I also appreciate the confidence that the nominating committee and the balance of the board of directors have in me to nominate and approve the role this year. And many of you know, if you know me personally, I'm a huge transit advocate. I love transit in my personal life, use it as much as I possibly can. And so, and that really transitions into this role as well, and advocating for residents and for transit, and working with RTA staff has just been a phenomenal experience for me, and I don't expect that to change at all. So I just want to wish everyone a very happy holidays, no matter how you celebrate, RTA staff, and happy holidays to you as well, and just appreciate everyone's hard work in this tough year, and look forward to putting in the work next year. So thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Zach. Are there any comments from group 2? Are there any comments from group 3?
Yes, Madam Chair Moore, Anthony Kelly. First and foremost, as spoken earlier, thank you for your service. You did lead not only our chair with grace, but with a sense of peace. I mean, your smile is definitely contagious, you know, being able to help keep us maintained in a sense of camaraderie. But then again, it's a great agency and a great group of individuals. Congratulations again to Miss Linda as well for the position, but as well as to my fellow colleagues and my soon-to-be old colleagues and the great Riverside Transit Agency staff. Thank you again for your service, but most of all, your leadership. It's been a great learning process, but at the same time, being able to be a part of historical moments, you know, from the instance of being able to provide free transit, you know, to our local schools, you know, our local students, you know, over 100,000 meals being given, you know, being shared to those individuals who are in need. I mean, it's definitely an honor, you know, amongst myself to be able to serve. But I just want to say happy holidays to everyone. Have a safe Christmas and happy New Year's. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. We're going to miss you.
I'll miss you guys more.
Are there other comments from group 3?
Moreno Valley.
Yes.
Bridget, I just want to say, you know, it's been an honor working with you on the chair.
Thank you.
Are you going to stay on also on the director's board?
Yes, I'll be a director.
Oh, okay, so I'll still see your smiling
still
face
see you.
around. So it's not a farewell. So
No.
I just want to tell you, it's been awesome to work with you and piggyback on what everybody else has said. Thank you for your support and what you have done. And Moreno Valley also thanks you too. So we'll see you out there.
Thank you. Are there any comments from group 3?
Bridget, am I in group 3?
Go ahead.
Am I in group 3 or 4?
You're in 3. You're in 3. Go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to thank you for your service all year. I know it was busy and a lot of stuff went down, but it all got handled and because of you and Larry and the staff and all the directors and everything. And I want to say good luck to Linda with her new position. And I've really enjoyed the year and everything, and everybody's great to work with, and just thank you all very much.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to miss you, Berwin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else from group 3? Are there any comments?
Yes, from City of Paris. I'm not sure if I was group 3 or not, but
That's fine. Go ahead.
you know, I too want to wish thank you, Bridget, for doing such a great job. You know, with all the pandemic and stuff going on, our staff is just doing fantastic here with the RTA. I want to thank everybody that's also going to be leaving us. You will be missed. You know, and I just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anyone from group 4?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Yes.
Bridget, thank you for a job well done, especially in this tough year. Just wanted to add to it.
Thank you.
Your sense of community and getting down and helping out your community is just outstanding. So thank you. Have a great Christmas.
Thank you, and you too. Anyone else from group 4? Okay, thank you so much. Very kind comments. I appreciate it. Next is item 17, announcements. Larry, do you have any announcements?
I have a couple announcements, Madam Chair. I'll be brief. You've been in a long meeting. We appreciate your time. As I wrote last weekend, we experienced a surge in employees who have contracted the coronavirus. Since December 4th, 21 employees have tested positive for coronavirus. Of those, 8 believe they were infected by family or friends around the Thanksgiving holiday. They were told after the holiday that somebody who was at their gathering had tested positive. 6 don't know how they contracted it. 6 believe they contracted it at work. 1 refused to answer. On Monday, December 7th, we initiated on-site COVID testing. That had to do a lot with, well, it had to do entirely as of the Cal OSHA regulation that kicked in November 30th, as Laura Camacho reported earlier during your meeting. We administered 556 tests, 9 were positive, but all 9 were asymptomatic. So they were removed from the workforce and advised to isolate until their determined to not be contagious and can resume to work. Due to the Cal OSHA requirement, we will be testing on site through the week of December 28th. After the governor's stay-at-home order was issued, ridership dropped a few more points. We're now down 69% compared to a year ago. Senior and disabled grocery deliveries, the Great Plates program was extended by the county to continue through December 30th. The San Bernardino program will run through January 7th. Total meals delivered to date, 102,501. You should have all received the annual report. I'm holding up a copy right here. It should have been mailed to your home address. This is the result of a lot of hard work by Jim Neekins and Brad Weaver. It's your 2020 annual report. We hope you enjoy reading it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and ask. We'll have no bus service on Christmas Day or New Year's Day. The service will be as normal on both Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. The Customer Information Center administrative offices will all be closed on Christmas and New Year's Day. And Chair Moore, a big shout out and thank you. I know that the calls are not easy to receive, the text messages are not easy to receive. When you took over the middle of last year, when Randon Lane resigned and took a job in Washington, D.C., I did assure you that this would be an easy year. And with you there, you made it much easier for me. You're a solid pillar of strength. You're confident. You never worry or panic. And I appreciate you more than you're ever going to know. I appreciate the entire board and the entire RTA staff for all the amazing work they do. But I don't know how we would have gotten through this without you. So I will be forever thankful to you, Chair Moore. So some of those pictures in the slideshow, you know what they meant, but not everybody does. And they had special meaning to you. And it shows that blood running through your veins is RTA blue. And you'll always have transit in your system.
Yep.
Congratulations to the new officers who were elected to your positions. We look forward to working with you. And thank you so much to all those who have served on the RTA board, served in your community. This great nation wouldn't be what it is without the elected officials. And we appreciate all of your service. We will see you again. We don't let you go here. We'll call you, we'll bug you, we'll email you. You have a lot of knowledge, and we thank you very much for your service. Chair Moore, that concludes my announcements.
Thank you. And same to you, Larry and Joan and Brad and Jim and Vince, and just everyone was so helpful being chaired. I called you called me right back, text you right back, got right back to me. It's so, to the rest of the board members, please think about being on a board position, because with the backing of RTA staff, it really goes good. Even during a pandemic, it still goes well. So I really want to encourage everyone to stay healthy. We do want to see you in January 2021, which brings us to our next meeting. The next meeting of the Board of Directors is scheduled for Thursday, January 28th, 2021 at 2 p.m. And the meeting adjourned. The December 17, 2020 regular meeting of the Riverside Transit Agency Board of Directors is adjourned at 4:12 p.m. Thank you all. Stay healthy.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Thank you all.
Happy holiday, everyone.
Holidays.
Same to you.